Hey guys, welcome back to all my subscribers. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. You know, I really, 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 truly appreciate you. If you are new to my channel or if you just haven't subscribed yet, please make sure you hit that subscribe button as well as the notification bell so you can come and hang out with me every time I upload a video. Okay, so let's get into it. My review, Married at First Sight, Season 10, Episode 10. Ooh, wee. Okay, so I'm going to try to just get to the key elements of everybody's marriage. I'm trying to make these videos a little shorter, you guys. I swear I'm trying. Anyway, all right, so let's start with Derek and Katie. Start off there in the kitchen, ruining breakfast, burning it, setting off the smoke alarm. It's been confirmed that neither one of them know how to cook. So Katie set up a cooking class for all the couples, and everyone shows up, of course, but Brandon and Taylor. So they're all there, and it seemed like it's fun. Everybody's smiling. There's no obvious tension or anything like that. Mindy in her confessional was saying how she noticed that Mike and Mika seem to be a little cold towards each other. There's no lovey dovey, there's no affection. And, Mindy is one of those people. I hate to say misery loves company, but like your relationship is, well, okay. I don't want to say it's worse than everybody else because Brandon and Taylor is pretty bad. But my point is, your husband won't even move in with you. He doesn't act like he even likes you. He's not attracted to you. He goes out of his way to tell you this. And yet you're always wanting, it's like you always want to point out other people's marriage when, oh, they seem kind of, it's almost like she wants to look and see if someone else is having problems like she's having problems. It's just, she's always the main one to point it out. So she does that, and anyway, they're all cooking and going through the process. They sit down to eat what they've prepared, and they're just talking about how things are going so far. So Zach, they asked Zach, has he moved in yet? He said he hasn't, and I don't know if it was Derek was like, well, are you going to move in or? And he was like, he's not sure if he will. Of course, he starts talking in circles as usual. Mindy gives her same response as she always does, that she's still holding, she still has hope. Derek asked about Taylor and Brandon. So everyone is saying they don't know. Everyone's like, oh, I don't know. I haven't talked to them. Mika is looking up and down, up and, like she looks obviously guilty, like she know what's going on. So Katie asked Mika, what's up? What's going on? Have you talked to Taylor? Whatever. So Mika tells them that she did talk to Taylor and they did talk about the video. Um, like she was saying, Mika made a video. Now, Taylor made a video. One thing I will say about Mika, she did not go into details. She simply said, I met with her. She talked about a video that she made. He was very upset about it, and right now they're not on good terms. Mike wasn't saying anything, but in his confessional, he was saying how he felt like that's their business. Um, he didn't feel comfortable discussing it in the group setting. Let them work it out, let them figure their own thing out. Then Katie, so after Mika reveals that, yeah, I talked to her and, about the video. And so then Katie says, yeah, I saw the video. So here, this is my whole thing. And I get it, you all are experiencing it at the same time. You're going through it together. Naturally, when they meet up, you're meeting up to talk about your experience so far. So everyone is there to share what they're going through. Obviously, if there's a couple missing, yeah, the question is going to be raised. But my thing is, Katie, you just admitted that you've already seen the video, so you know what's going on. Now, you may not know details as to why she made the video, but don't act like y'all are just clueless. Derek is the one that asked the question about Taylor and Brandon. Why did he ask? Because he saw the video with her. But anyway, so moving on from that, later on, so after the class, later on, Derek and had set up a little paint date night at home, which was cute. So he cooks dinner, which was, drum roll please, mac and cheese, his favorite. Okay. So I'm like, yeah, I just took a cooking class. You didn't learn anything? Anything. Okay, we're gonna do mac and cheese. That's cool. So Katie was, basically saying that she didn't feel before, she didn't feel like she didn't want him to feel like he had it so good that he didn't have to fight for her. Like, don't get it twisted. I know I had sex with you the third night of our marriage, but I don't want you to think you got it like that. Like, you still have to work hard to win me over. Um, and he admitted that he was getting comfortable. He said that he wants to win her over. He was going to make her fall in love with him. And then I started thinking, I'm like, now I've seen what Derek has been doing, to win her over. But I haven't seen much of what Katie's been doing. Like, maybe it's just me. Leave a comment below if you feel like Katie has been putting in as much effort as Derek. And I would think that, considering he's never been in love before, I would think that she would kind of show him, hey, this is what being in love feels like, and kind of make him fall in love with you. I mean, be yourself. Like, don't be fake about it and have this man fall in love with somebody that's not your true self. But what I'm saying is, you sitting back waiting and wanting him to cater to you is not necessarily going to make somebody fall in love with you, because to me he's going to feel like it's too much work. So yeah, but he's all for it. He was like, I'm gonna make you fall in love with me. And I'm just, like I said, I'm thinking, like, what has she done to make him fall in love with her other than having sex? Anyway, so later on, the uh, experts have given all of the couples games to play, and it was basically to build trust and intimacy. So their game was, it was like Jenga, like where you stack the little blocks and you pull each one out until the whole thing falls apart. But this Jenga game had questions and activities on it. So one of the questions was, what turns you on? And Derek says he likes little scratches on his back, where they're in the heat of the moment. And Katie says that she likes to be manhandled. So they played some more, and basically they ended up in bed. Like, that was it. That was it with them. Anyway, so moving on to Jessica and Austin. They're going strong. They seem happy. They're committed to their marriage. Everything is going good. They're baking cookies and they're having good sex. I mean, that's it. That's pretty much them in a nutshell. No issues, no arguments. The awkwardness has seemed to subside with them. So again, all of the couples were giving different exercises to build intimacy and trust. So what they had, a spin the wheel exercise, and the first spin landed on lap dance. So Austin gave Jessica a lap dance, and of course it was a little awkward because they are very shy about PDA, and they've made it very clear a couple of times throughout the show how they are very private about showing intimacy and talking about intimacy, their sex life. So of course they were going to be a little awkward, but they were good sports about it. Austin was giving her a lap dance. He didn't. She seemed more uncomfortable than he did. Then the next one landed on, so they spin the wheel again, and it landed on body shots. Okay, so I have to say, when Jessica poured the bourbon in Austin's navel, I was creeped out. Okay, first of all, something. Okay, here's my thing. I think navels are disgusting, number one, because I don't think a lot of people really clean their navels. I just don't. I don't know why. I do, but I just feel like a lot of people don't. I think it's one of those areas that some people miss because they just feel like, whatever. That's just me, y'all. Anyway, so I already have my feelings about that. Okay, so she pours the bourbon in his navel, and something black floated to the top. Okay. And no, it was not a mole. It was not a freckle. I rewinded that part maybe 3 or 4 times because I was like, okay, because he has moles on his stomach. And I was like, okay, well, maybe that's a mole. No, there was nothing there but hair and skin. And when she poured it, something black floated to the top. Y'all, it made my skin crawl. But she slurped it out of his navel. Ugh. Oh, I need a moment. I need a moment. Okay. She slurped it out. Ugh. And God, it just made okay. She slurped it out. They, was touching each other, and then she was like, "Come on, we're going to bed early." So basically, they got up. And he was asking, should we bring the wheel with us? She's like, no, we don't need the wheel. So they go in the bedroom, close the door, and yeah, you can kind of figure out what happened next. All right, so let's move on to Zach and Mindy. All right, so it starts off with Mindy waking up alone. Now, if you remember the last episode, where Zach came over. They were playing games. They were doing their face mask, laying on the floor, and just having a good time. They really seemed to enjoy each other's company. So apparently, Mindy thought Zach was going to spend the night. Because she felt like, hey, we're having such a good time. I just know he's going to spend the night. But he didn't. She was like, at 12 o'clock midnight, he left. Um, so later on, Dr. Pepper meets up with them. So apparently, Dr. Pepper meets out with the couples who are struggling. So she comes over, she meets with them, and the show is playing clips of when Dr. Pepper met with Zach. I guess during the interviewing um, part of the show in the beginning, and one of the questions she asked him was, what if on your wedding day you see your wife and you see your bride and she's not what you are expecting physically? So he said that, he knew that taking a chance that there was a he's taking a chance marrying a totally, complete stranger, and that he's having faith that, they have matched them for a reason. So in other words, if he's not physically attracted to her, that's something that he will work on. He will be committed to the process because apparently what they put down on their applications matched them together. So he was going to be all in. Okay, so Dr. Pepper comes in, she sits down, and she asks them about their views on how things are going. Mindy says, she feels like a broken record and she is, because she's basically saying the same thing over and over. She's disappointed. She likes Zach as a person. She likes him a lot, but she likes a lot of things about him, but just not as a husband. He has a lot of improvement to do, a lot of improving to do. So she feels that, he doesn't like her, that he's not invested in this process, and she sometimes feels stupid, basically, for putting forth an effort, for hanging in there with him. Um, so Dr. Pepper, she turned to Zach and was talking about the clip that they played earlier regarding, him possibly not being attracted to his bride. So she brings it up and she said, she doesn't feel like he's really trying, because if he was trying, he would be living there. So at this point, Zach really plucked my nerves, because Zach plays this game where he acts like he just doesn't understand life. You know, he comes off as this intellect. He wants people to believe he got it going on and he's this intellect. But then when it comes to Mindy and people saying to him, "Hey, you're not giving it a shot. We know you're not attracted to her, but what about other qualities and blah blah blah?" That's when he acts like, well, really? So you think this how it should go? So he says, um, "Oh, okay. So you think this would be the avenue to something like to becoming attractive." So in other words, oh, okay, so you're saying if I move in with her, then that would help the issue that I'm having as far as attraction. And Dr. Pepper was like, "No, I think it's the avenue for you getting to know her." You know, and in her confessional, Dr. Pepper was saying that Zach is totally different than anybody they've ever had on this show. She is worried that, he's not really here to be married. And, basically it's unfair to Mindy. He's only worrying about himself, and he's not worried about Mindy's feelings in this process. So she said, "Look, the only way to prove that you're giving it your all is to move in." So Zach was saying that, he's still struggling. He'll consider it. And Dr. Pepper said, "No, I really need you to do that, or you should leave this marriage. You should leave this show." And I was just like, yes, I was so happy she said that. Here's my thing. And it's kind of like, it's almost like the show. Now, this show has been going on for a while. It's almost like they don't have a backup plan. They need to understand everyone is not going to, number one, either be attracted to each other, or they're just not going to click at all. So there needs to be an exit plan. And hopefully it seemed like maybe with this show, this season, they're realizing that. Don't force these people to stay together, and stop coming off with, "Oh, maybe, try and work it out." No, there are some obvious signs that these people should not be together, and I think the show needs to start taking that into consideration and giving these people a way out. So I was very, very happy that Dr. Pepper was like, "Look, you either move in and try to make this work and give it your all, or you need to leave." And I was hoping Pastor Cal would have said that, but no, they were just going along with it. It's like Zach, to me, Zach thing is he was going to drag this out until decision day, I believe. And if he was allowed to continue to live at his own apartment and only meet up with Mindy, they're not even dating at this point. They don't go out. They meet at the park. He comes over, play card games, put facial mask on, and then he goes home. Like, you're not even dating her at this point. You're not even dating her. So I'm glad that she put that out there. Now I just hope they follow through with it. Cause here's my thing, okay? And he's not even playing it right. Like, we all know he's not there for the right reasons. You could at least move in, stay in, even if he is never home. Let's say he moves into the second bedroom, they eat dinner together, they eat breakfast together, they watch TV on the opposite ends of the couch, and you never touch her. You can, at the end of the experiment, say, "Hey, I tried, I moved in, I tried to get to know her, I tried to date her, and at the end of it, I'm just not feeling it." That would be more believable than, "Oh, I still want this, but yet you haven't moved in, yet you barely want to give her a hug, yet you won't even take her out on a date." So anyway, She suggested that they go to a tantra class, like a tantra yoga. Like I said, everyone has been giving a task, like a game or something like that, to build intimacy, trust. So with them, it was this class, which really brings them together in an intimate way. So they go to the class and they meet with the instructor. She explains the whole process, what they're going to be doing. She has them sit on the floor, and she has Mindy sit on Zach's lap facing him. So, of course, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to be honest. The first thing that came to my mind was, did Mindy take a shower before coming to the class? Because she had on some leggings and looked like she had just probably been running around all day, probably went to work. And I'm just like, she about to have her legs open, sitting on him. And I'm just hoping that she took a shower. Okay. So she does that, and then they were instructed to look into each other's eyes, take deep breaths, um, move their bodies in unison, in a circular motion, like they're grinding on each other, basically. And, um, you know, they looked a little awkward, especially with the whole looking at each other, because at one point it didn't even look like they were looking in each other's eyes. Zach, he's kind of flushed. He's looking like he's sweating. And at one point, Mindy kind of like clutched onto him. She kind of like grabbed onto him, hugging him tight. She, instead of them looking at each other in their eyes, she's hugging him. So their faces is kind of side by side at this point. Um, but yeah, she was hugging on him real tight. So I'm like, okay, did she just have a happy ending? Cause Zach was kind of over it at that point, and it's almost like she wasn't budging. So I didn't know. I don't know. But anyway, let's move on to Brandon and Taylor. All right. So Dr. Pepper meets up with them because they're our problem children. Okay, they're one of the couples that's struggling. So she meets up with them, and Taylor's there, and then Brandon shows up. So Brandon comes in, and Dr. Pepper is asking them to explain their side of the story. So she lets them know that she's talked to the other experts and she's also seen the footage. Like, in other words, tell me the truth because I already seen it. Um. So anyway, they were going back and forth like who was going to talk first, whatever. So Brandon says that um he's only here to hear Taylor's explanation of her behavior. And Dr. Pepper says, "Yeah, okay, but later I want to hear your explanation for your behavior as well." So Taylor said that she doesn't feel she did anything wrong. She's confused. She's asked Brandon to tell her, and he just shuts her out. Like, he just refused to talk to her. She mentioned about the video and said that it wasn't about him, and that neither him or his friends follow her on social media, so she didn't expect him to see it, which kind of confirms my suspicion. I suspected that Mike told Brandon about the video. I think he sent it to him. And the only reason why I say that is because Brandon always talked about how he wasn't on social media, and the fact that Mike brought it up to Mika. He showed Mika the video, and I don't know. I just, for some reason, I suspected that he was the one that brought it to Brandon's attention. Okay, but Taylor's saying, she didn't do it for him to see it because she figured he doesn't follow her. So yeah, I didn't do it for him to see it. Um. Anyway, so she was saying, so Dr. Pepper asked Brandon how did he feel about it? How did it make him feel seeing the video? And he was saying how he was hurt. He felt like she did it on purpose to be malicious and to hurt him. Dr. Pepper was saying how she would have taken it personal too, and she asked Taylor why did she do it. So at this point, Taylor's pissed, and I think she's upset because if you think back to when she met with Mika and was telling Mika about the video, when once Mika came off like she wasn't taking Taylor's side, like she was telling Taylor, hey, I think what you did was wrong. You know, if Mike did that to me, I would be very hurt, very upset. So now you have Dr. Pepper, another woman, not taking Taylor's side. And I think that bothers her more than anything. Um anyway, so she's pissed, and then it starts coming out. You know, she's like, she's put up with a whole lot from Brandon, which she has, you know, since Panama. And you know, she still hung in there with him. She still stayed, even though he has disrespected her. How he just don't disrespect her, he disrespect production. And she's like, if he's not disrespecting me, he's ignoring me. And then she finally admitted that she posted the video, um, you know, basically to get back. Now, remember, at first she said she did the video because people kept asking her about her relationship status. And of course, she's on the show. So, you know, they're not supposed to be talking about what's going on the show until the show airs. So she at that time was saying that her and her friends were talking, and her friends did a video of things that they're looking for in men, and she basically did it to get people off her back asking her about her relationship. But now we know that's not the truth. So Dr. Pepper was like, she wasn't being sympathetic to either one of them because both of them have done some messed up stuff. So Brandon says that, you know, what she did was over the top. They started going back and forth. He was like, he feels like she's not there for the right reason. She's only there for the cameras. And Dr. Pepper asked that, you know, they forgive each other. They both were wrong. Let's forgive each other and move on. So Brandon said he didn't want to. He was like, he don't want to be with her. He's not gonna believe anything she says. He does. If she apologized, he's not gonna believe it because he doesn't feel it's genuine. Taylor was saying that she didn't find any fault in what she did, but if Dr. Pepper and Brandon thinks that she did something that required an apology, you know, that he should have just told her and she'll try to change it. So Dr. Pepper was like, okay, so you don't feel like you should apologize? And she was like, well, I don't know. I don't know right now. So Taylor was like, no, wait, you know, I want to still work this out, whatever. And Brandon was like, nah. So he mentioned, you know, you want to be a single woman. You said that. You said you were single. You said you wanted to be single. And he was like, he put up with the lie with random guys calling her 3 in the morning. She'll hang out all night at the bars. And so Taylor was like, that's a lie. Now I don't know who was calling her, but somebody obviously, and it could have been her little male friends. Who knows? But Brandon is saying that other men was calling Taylor at 3 in the morning, and she was hanging out. Now we saw where after they had a little argument, or after she did the video, where when he left, she was coming in that morning from hanging out that night. Now how often she was doing it, who knows? But we saw that she did do it at least once. Anyway, so Dr. Pepper was like, asking Brandon, so, you know, you're not going to work this out. You don't want to. You don't even want to give it a chance. And Brandon was like, nope, I'm over it. So at this point, Taylor starts getting a little teary eyed, you know, saying that she never gave up, even after everything he's done to her. Brandon gets up. He asks the cameraman to take the mic off of him, and he leaves. So at this point, Taylor breaks down. She's crying like real tears this time, saying how, um, you know, he's disrespected her. She still stayed, and you know, she did this one thing, and he's just walking out on her. You know, and even after all of this, she still wants to make it work. Here's my thing on the whole situation with that. Brandon was dead wrong on how he disrespected her, how he treated her, how he acted towards production, how he behaved towards the other couples, all of that. Taylor stayed. She forgave him. Now, granted, the whole camera in your face when you wake up, yeah, a lot of people probably would have been irritated by that, but everybody would not have behaved the way he did. The thing is, Taylor calls herself, like I said, I think she was over all of that. She stayed with him, she forgave him, they talked about it, they decided to move on. Like I said in my last review, I think what happened is Taylor was pissed because, yeah, after he disrespected her and did all of that, she decided to stay, but he wasn't willing to make it work after that, I don't believe. So maybe she felt like, look, I don't put up with all of this and I'm willing to stay. You're the one that's wrong and you're acting like you don't want to be bothered, because he was ignoring her. He really was giving her bare minimum conversation. He wasn't taking the initiative. Brandon was out. He was out. Now, why he didn't just leave, I don't know. But you could tell in his body language and how he acted that he was very standoffish. Maybe he was like, I don't know how to approach her now because I did act like an ass. I don't know what to do with her now. But you can see the downhill spiral with them when they moved in together. Um, she made an effort with dinner and all of that. Some people were saying she made dinner just so she could post the pictures on Instagram, whatever. But yeah, he was kind of standoffish, and I don't know if it's because he's embarrassed. He knew how he behaved. He knew it was going to be on the show. I don't know, but to me, Taylor did the video as a get back to him. Like, okay, you disrespected me. Now you ignoring me. You act like you don't want to be bothered. All right, I'm about to get your attention. Okay. What Taylor did not bank on was that Brandon is already checked out. So anything you do to push his buttons is really giving him the easy way out. It's giving him a reason to leave. Like, you call yourself playing him, but you played yourself, really, because you basically helped him in his case. So he doesn't care. He's out. And Brandon is very calculated. He's very, very calculated. So hear me out. You did the video. Like, yeah, he's been acting very standoffish. He has. You did the video. It pissed him off. It gave him a reason to leave. He left. Okay. He left. He rolled out. You were the one chasing him. Now, I don't know what you thought was going to happen after you posted the video. Did you think that he was going to be like, damn, she talking about she's single. I need to step up my game and win my wife back. I don't know what she thought was going to happen. Maybe it was that, but it was a total opposite. And she was the one sitting there with Dr. Pepper crying, sitting there talking about, I still want this to work. I still have hope. He totally made her look like a fool during their session with Dr. Pepper. And I always say, don't call people bluff. Okay, you did that. Oh, you was playing big girl. You out there making a list, basically calling this man gay, calling him crazy, calling him short. That's pretty much what you were saying with your little list. So you threw all of that out there, and he was like, "All right, I'm out." Now, where was the big bad girl attitude from the video at the session with Dr. Pepper? Why you ain't say, "All right, well, you know what? You did me wrong. What I did, maybe consider wrong. Maybe this not working. All right, let's go our separate ways." But no, you up there crying, talking about you still wanted to work. He made you look like a fool. So now she's meeting with her friends and she's giving them an update on what's going on, let them know that Brandon left, talked about the video. Of course, they're her friends, they're going to side with her. And she was saying that she felt like Brandon wanted to leave for a while because he has issues with being on camera and he has issues with production. Um, but then she turns around and her friends are like, yeah, he's an idiot, blah, 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 whatever. And she's like, well, I still may invite him over so that we can sit down and talk. And I'm just like, okay. So Brandon meets up with his friend later, give him an update. He showed him this text from Taylor that was like, it looked like a short story. It was so long. As he was scrolling down, it was just this long, drawn out text. And he said that it was basically her going off on him. He didn't get into details, but that's what he said. Then he said that she tried to reach out to him again, saying that she wanted to meet up, to talk so they can have a sit down. His friend was asking him, like, what do you think? Are you going to do it? He said that he didn't know, that, deep down he think that Taylor is a good person. She's sweet, but he saw this ugly side of her that he just doesn't know. He doesn't know if he can deal with it. So, um, he left off with saying that, he really wanted it to work. So that let me know at that point that their story is not over. And then we saw in the previews for the next episode that they do end up getting back together to at least talk. We don't know if he actually moved back in or whatever the case may be, but we do know that they did end up talking based off of the previews for the next episode. Okay, moving on. So Mike and Mika, it starts off with tension. They It's in the morning. They're sitting at the table talking. Well, Mika's talking. Mike is like looking at his phone. You could tell both of them just wasn't feeling each other. And it's the same conversation. She's asking him to, just basically tell her exactly what he wants. Like, he keeps talking about her being vulnerable, and she's like, what does that mean? What exactly do you need me to do for you to know that I'm in this? And he was just like, look, I'm tired of talking about it. I'm not about to give you no long list because I know it ain't gonna happen, blah blah blah. um so he ends up leaving, and he comes back. Well, she lets him know that Katie scheduled a class for all the couples, and she's like, hey, let's talk. That's how it all starts. Like, hey, let's talk and get to the bottom line, get on the same page, because I don't want to go to this cooking class with this tension, this awkwardness, and making it uncomfortable for the other couples. So they had the conversation. Mike gets upset. He leaves. He comes back, and he didn't apologize really, but basically he was like, he didn't leave. He told her, look, I didn't leave you. I just needed a moment to myself, because when we have these conversations and you start getting all, angry and coming at me, basically I shut down. I don't want to deal with it. It makes me feel some type of way, and I need to step away. Mika was like, okay, that's fine. That's all well and good. However, I've told you several times that I don't like it when we having a conversation. Yes, you may be uncomfortable, but don't just leave. Like, if you need a moment to yourself, just say that. Just say, hey, you know what? I'm not feeling this. I need a moment. I'll probably be gone for an hour or two, couple of hours. I don't know, but I'll be back. That's all she's asking for. He agreed. He said, yeah, okay, I see your point. Whatever. So they go to the cooking class, and I already gave that spill how they were. They seemed to be okay. They wasn't really talking. Mika laughed and smiled. Mika seems to go with the flow when she's around other people, even though they're having drama at home. Mike, whatever's going on at home, you can see it in his body language and in his facial expression when he's with the group. So later on, they meet up for lunch. And during Mika's confessional, she said that the night before, Mike invited her to a yoga class at the studio where he teaches. So she says she gets there. I guess she gets there before him, and she is talking to the employees. She mentions his name. They tell her that there's no Mike that teaches a class. The only Michael that works there basically is the janitor. He cleans the rooms. So she's obviously upset. First of all, she's looking like a fool because they probably looking at her like, who told you he was a yoga teacher? I mean, it's you have to understand how all this looked and how all this would make her feel. So anyway, Mike shows up at the restaurant, and they're eating. And she's like, no, he says, well, as we know, last night didn't go so well for our planned activity. Like, so nonchalant. So Mika says, no, so Mika started going over what happened, and she's like, look, I show up, you invite me to this class where you say you're a yoga teacher. I get there, I drive all the way there. I was disappointed because, here I'm going out of my way to be there to come to something that is a very important part of your life. So do you say, so I'm trying to, like I'm trying to make this marriage work after everything. This is something that you like to do. It's a part of your life. I'm going to show up for you. I show up and I find out you're not a teacher. You are not a yoga instructor. You clean the rooms. He's just eating. He's ignoring her. He's not even looking up at her. He's not talking. He's not responding. It's almost like he doesn't even hear her. His head is down and he's just eating the whole time. So, she was like, I tried to talk to you at the time and you just ignored me. She was like, and I needed to talk to somebody and get it out. So I called Taylor. Now, at this time, the whole time he was looking down. When she mentioned that, he looked up, he made this face. He finally speaks and he's like, yeah, you started off with the insult saying that, it was a waste of your time coming all the way there. And the way you were coming off to me just would have led to an argument. Child, Mika just unloaded on Mike. I mean, her mouth was like a machine gun. Like all of her frustrations were just firing off nonstop. And you know what? I don't blame her. I don't blame her. It's like it's one thing after the other with him. And what bothers me is how every time she catches him in a lie, every time she questions something, he tries to flip it. Later on, Dr. Pepper comes over and, she wants to know how things are going. So Mika starts off with she doesn't feel like Mike has been honest with her. She feels like he's a liar. She was saying how every day it's almost like she's almost every day she's catching him in a lie. So then she listed a few things. This guy lied about the miles on his car. Now, if y'all remember, after when they were on the honeymoon and when they had their little date, instead of going on the boat with the couples, when they had their date and just having conversation, getting to know each other, and I think at that time he was like the same car he had. I don't know if he said since he was 17. It's a car he had for years, of a long time, like 8, 9 years. And he was saying how he only had whatever amount of mileage it was. It was very unrealistic and shocking. So I don't know. I guess when she was riding with him, she looked at the mileage and realized that was a lie because otherwise how would she know? But she said he lied about the miles in his car. He lied about the trips that he's taken. He lied about being a yoga teacher. Then they started playing the clip of him talking about his job and him being a yoga instructor. So here's the thing. Mike keeps saying how basically he's lied to her to protect himself. Let me point out, Mike told these lies before even meeting Mika. Mike told the production or the experts that he was a yoga instructor. Okay, and traveling or whatever. He told the group and Mika at the same time that he got a job as a principal. So this is not like, oh, these are things that I came up with. No, 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 bro. You told Dr. Pepper and them that you were a yoga instructor. 3 to 4 days a week. And nah. Okay. So anyway, I had to point that out because these are things that he said prior to all of this going down. So Dr. Pepper asked Mike to explain, what happened at the yoga studio. So Mike was saying that he doesn't have a permanent class, that he is a sub. And he was saying, with these type of companies or organizations, I guess he's saying, yoga studios, that there's a high overturn of management and that there was new management, they didn't know him, and that's who apparently Mika ended up talking to when she came to the studio. Um, here's okay. Even if there is, first of all, yoga studio, I'm assuming is not this big, massive place or gym. Okay, even if it is, as management, even if you're new, okay, so let's just go with what he said, his narrative. Let's just say this is huge, massive, mega yoga studio or gym or whatever. Let's say this is new management, okay, and she hasn't gotten, you know, acclimated on who exactly works there. All right, for her to know who the janitor is but not know who an instructor is, come on. Anyway, he said he gives the whole excuse of new management, they didn't know him, and when he said when all of that went down, him and Mika were supposed to have a conversation about it, I guess, so that he can explain. And he was like, it didn't happen because of the language Mika used. And so he was like, she said, "Oh, this was a waste of my effing time," and she was like, "No, I didn't cuss at you. I just said it was a waste of my time." Anyway, so Dr. Pepper was like, "Okay, but would you agree that some of the things she said, you have lied about?" So finally, Mike agrees that he has lied, which was pretty obvious. We all knew this. So Dr. Pepper was asking him, explain it. Like, why do you lie, basically? And he went into this whole BS about being vulnerable early on with her, and he feels like that trust or that bond or whatever is broken, and basically lying about why he's lying. He's basically lying about why he's a liar. So Dr. Pepper asked him, was he ever going to take responsibility for not having consistent stories? So since the BS didn't work, because see, he thought they were going to fall for that. So since it didn't work, he pulls out the being adoptive card. And later on, they have their game, which was called Blind Trust. So they write their questions down on index cards and they put on a blindfold, which I have no idea the purpose of the blindfold. I don't get that part. But anyway, so Mika asked Mike, one of her questions was, what was his job description? What was his job? And give a description. He answers and he tells her he is a before and after care director for a school. Now, back when he revealed to her that he did not take the principal job, he took another job that was equivalent to the principal position. Do y'all remember that? But he didn't want to give details. For the most part, they're basically babysitting them in the morning before school starts, because parents have to go to work before school starts, and they babysit them in the afternoon because school gets out too early for parents to come and pick to get off work and pick them up. Minimize what he does, but a before and after care director is nothing. It's not even the same level as a teacher. So for him, anyway, I'm gonna get off that because Mike is exhausting. But yeah, so then the next question. Well, they had a couple of questions, but that question stood out to me. And the second one was from him asking Mika, do she ever, do she feel like she would ever fall in love with him? Your question should have been, do you think that you would stay married to me after everything that has gone down? But anyway, um, so she said that, a lot has happened. Um, a lot has to be done. She doesn't think it's going to be easy, but there's always a chance. And, you know, that's where they left off. So, I feel drained after all of that. Anyway, yeah, so that is my review. This was a very revealing episode. Anyway, that's my review. Please leave your comments below. Again, as always, thank you guys so much for checking out my video. And until next time, take care.